Hello and welcome to Random Offense. I am your host, Ethan Strauss. I am joined by the great Tom Haberstroh of The Finder and really just my friend in this industry for, God dang it. Is it 15 years? Is it 10 years? It just stops to matter, just like whichever monitor I'm using. I'm using the auxiliary monitor. I don't have my standard accoutrements, ladies and gentlemen. So if I make mistakes, just know I have an excuse. But we're going to talk about a guy who would never make an excuse to begin this show. Bring Tom on. We're going to discuss how I forgot to say the word discuss, and we're going to discuss the great LeBron James having sciatica or some such, being out a month. I should take this seriously. And not only that, Tom, before we get to the topic docket, our lists of what we're going to discuss, we have to talk about this fake advertisement that LeBron James hoodwinked us on. So we'll talk a little bit of cynical NBA, and then we'll get to a little bit of cynical media and this whole ratings shenanigans that ESPN admitted to. We'll talk about the epic Phillies choke job, and we'll also discuss why LaMelo Ball says his new nickname is 6'7", and why your child understands that, but you do not. Tom, how you doing?
I'm good. I feel like the 6'7" thing hits my sweet spot here because I live in Charlotte and I also have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and my
Mm.
wife works at an elementary school. So all of this stuff, and I cover the NBA. So like all of this, I should be the one who knows what 6'7" is because I'm getting hit from all different corners here. And yet yesterday, I was watching a YouTube video of what 6'7" means because I am so out of the loop. I
Mm.
still don't know what it. Yeah.
There's the sound. Well, gosh dang it. I was going to start with LeBron James and me insinuating he might be faking his injury or not. I don't know where I was going to
Oh,
go with
oh,
that.
we got to start with that. Come on,
Oh, you
wait.
got to start with that before we get to the nonsense of LaMelo Ball and 6'7"? Okay, we can start with a little bit of LeBron James. He is going to be out for some weeks, roughly a month, with sciatica, an injury, Tom. I associate with old people, and I suppose I've joined their ranks as somebody who's entered into the 40s. But I don't know. It all feels very strange. This LeBron season's an uncanny valley. He appeared to indicate that he was going to make another decision. And I think the worst part about it, Tom, the worst part about this process wasn't just that we found out that it was simply an advertisement, a misdirection for, was it Hennessy? I don't know. I'm just, yes, he's nodding. It was Hennessy. Good job, Hennessy. I remembered. So obviously the advertisement worked, but people were hip to it before it happened, Tom. LeBron James, arguably greatest player ever. Loved watching him play. There is something about him that is just hard to be believed at every moment, every turn. Am I being too harsh?
It is so annoying to me that he chose to spoof the lowest point of his career, the lowest like PR rating of his career. And it wasn't inventive, it wasn't corny. It reminded me of the fact that like the that Hollywood is constantly obsessed with existing IP.
Mm.
That LeBron had to come out with a big Hennessy ad and they're like, what should we do? And it was, let me go back to the decision. And that didn't really make any sense about what the decision was.
Yeah.
Was there a decision about which drink I'm going to make
I've
that everyone was going?
decided to become an alcoholic. This is what I want to do in the final year of my career.
And then I don't know if you saw this on Sports Center. Matt Barry get like a clip went around where Matt Barry, the Sports Center anchor that I've done shows with, I really like Matt Barry. I don't know why I have to qualify this when we get into
You're
like,
taking a shot at Matt Barry. Wow. Oh
well,
my
he
God.
made it. He cracked a joke about it.
Mm.
He was like, maybe LeBron should rub some Hennessy on his behind or his glutes to
Mm.
get back onto the floor. Ha ha ha. And people got upset about that. Like, we're not allowed to make fun of injuries, okay? But I'm
Sciatica
like,
is serious.
it's a Hennessy ad where he made fun of himself. And it's like, are we that? Is it? Are we living in that world where we can't make fun of LeBron doing a alcohol ad spoofing his own? I just found it to be, I don't know, a lot of pearl clutching that, hey, we can't make fun of LeBron and his sciatica injury. And it's like, no, he was the one who did the Hennessy ad.
I think LeBron is a fascinating character because on the one hand, He's the child star made good, the guy who lived up to the hype. How did he even pull off this over 2 decade long career and maintain such quality all the way through? Has not done anything formally egregious or terrible. And yet at the same time, he's got a little bit of that thing certain athletes have, whether it's your Russell Wilsons, I'm trying to come up with some other athletes where there's just this inherent disingenuous quality that can wear you out if you're really tuned into the sport. But I think a lot of people who don't watch have no idea that there's just been one thing after another weird thing after another. I don't know. This all feels fake, followed with this weird disingenuousness that you can't attack it. Our friend Pablo Torre, he was savaged by some people for pointing out that LeBron James did not actually attend Kobe Bryant's funeral. But not only that, didn't really want it to be known and left it all in this sort of hazy territory. I look, we come here not to condemn LeBron James or Matt Barry. We are here to say I will miss when he's gone, just because it's so odd. The whole thing is so odd.
Well, I encourage everyone to listen to the Basketball Illuminati this week. We had Trevon Edwards on, as we all know him as Black Trey, and he used to work at Wyden Kennedy, the ad agency, the big ad agency for Nike. And one of the things he revealed, he no longer works there. So he was like, hey, it's Trey uncut this episode.
Ooh.
And he told a story about how he had pitched to LeBron's people, hey, why don't we do like the 5 LeBrons again? Why don't we go back to, all these different LeBron characters that was a hit. I think was a hit, probably the most successful ad campaign.
It's a great ad.
Yeah. And he turned him down. LeBron's people were like, no, we don't want to go back to do that. But they decided to do the Second Decision Hennessy ad with what appears to be like an AI actor. Like the Jim Gray in this ad isn't a known person, or like we were trying to figure this out. Who is that actor? And Trey was like, it's just a paid actor. It's just a random guy. And LeBron could have done the 5 LeBrons, could have done something where they're hearkening back to an era where LeBron was well liked. And yet they decided to go back to this one. And the sciatica thing is the first time that I have felt that LeBron James is relatable.
Really?
Like
yeah.
The first time that I've looked at LeBron and been like, yeah, that makes sense. He is a human being. This is normal. For the whole time that I've been covering LeBron James, I'm like, this is not normal. What he's doing is not normal. And for the first time, not starting the season healthy is at 40 years old is the first time that I can look at LeBron and be like, yeah, that is normal.
With a golfer's injury, or so I hear. I need to check myself for sciatica. I know nothing about it. I'm in dangerous territory, riffing extemporaneously and expounding on it. I think that the issue with some of these athletes, especially ones that are famous early, they don't have a good inclination as to why people are into them or what they would be into. They're great as athletes, and that's what people are drawn to. But I've heard about this with Caitlin Clark when Nike had her moment with her. I've written extensively about that. And a lot of it, I think, was Nike mishandling. But to be clear, I also heard that she wasn't the easiest to work with, in the way LeBron isn't the easiest to work with. And it's rare when you have an athlete who understands their persona and understands how it plays. From what I've heard, Kobe Bryant was that. Once he understood his persona and he got that people wanted him to have the Mamba mentality, and that's what needed to be sold. Not only was he great at selling it, he was great at making fun of it. If you remember those Kobe system ads with Kanye West, and he's just this caricature of the hard ass from Whiplash, but about sports. It's a rare thing. It's rare when you've got that synergy between athletic greatness and, I know exactly, or I'll trust the people around me to tell me exactly what people want. You'd think it would be easy, but for some reason it's not.
No, I think listening to Pablo and Dan Patrick and Dan Le Batard talk about LeBron struggling to figure out when it's time to hang up, and how everyone, including Dan Patrick and Dan Le Batard, are struggling to figure out when it's time.
Yeah.
And you say we're going to miss LeBron when he's gone. I don't think he's going anywhere. Like, I think he's going to try to be on our NBA broadcast in front of us constantly with his own shows. And you can see him doing game shows, uninterrupted
Then I want to be
content.
clear. I don't miss that LeBron. That LeBron is not one that that's not the LeBron I want, LeBron. The LeBron I want is the you dunking and making cool passes. I don't need the other stuff. You can go play golf. But yes, you were saying Tom.
I just think he's going to be here for the next 20 years. I think he's going to be part of these broadcasts in a way that he's on DraftKings. He's trying to do, betting content on the NFL side. And I think he's ubiquitous, and I think he's going to continue to be part of the conversation. So even if he does hang it up, I feel like we are going to still Pavlovian response of anything LeBron does. We are going to want to turn it into a giant news story.
Yeah.
And I think the Luka stuff is weird. The fact that he wasn't there for Luka's extension press conference and every one of his teammates were. And I think maybe I'm not saying that this injury is not legit, but maybe this injury came about because this was an odd offseason for LeBron James. He wasn't as present as we normally would expect him with the Luka Doncic stuff. And yes, he's 40 years old, and these injuries happen when you're 40 years old. But is his heart as much into it as it normally is that it would take for him to fully ramp up as a 40-year-old? Because now he's way behind the 8 ball.
Way behind the 8 ball. And the Luka situation, I think, represents the first time somebody on his team is regarded as more important than him. And he did not like it. It appears that he did not co-sign it, even though theoretically that's what his path to relevance was, and it opened up, but it didn't seem like he was in on it. And it seemed like he didn't like that he was in on it. And so there's a lot of discord and drama, passive aggression out there in Los Angeles. It could be a very ugly season, Tom. Here's the question we will give you. We'll give you a real sports talky question. I remind anybody watching, you can zoom in for a question of your own and have it answered live. Who will have the more uncomfortable season, Tom, in Los Angeles? The Clippers or the Lakers?
6'7".
Kawhi is 6'7". Luka too, kind of LeBron. Anyway,
I think the Kawhi situation is so fascinating because I wonder how teams will react to the situation when the games start happening. Will it just go away once the Clippers get out to a 7-1 record? Will people care about the Kawhi aspiration story? And I think that's something that I've thought about as I wrote a Substack last week about how the Clippers have shut down their YouTube channel where they're not putting out their media press conferences like they normally do, because I think Lawrence Frank and Kawhi Leonard did not avail themselves very well in their press conferences. I think they said too much and too little all at the same time. They didn't speak from a position of strength and confidence. Like Lawrence Frank reading off a piece of paper to have a prepared statement and just like doing these like taking off his glasses and doing the whole like Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, like trying to enunciate certain things. And it just came off very rehearsed. And it struck me that was probably the only time that he's going to have to talk about this publicly. And he didn't nail it. And now the Clippers are not airing it on their YouTube channel in the same way that they did last year and in press conferences this summer. And them shutting down their YouTube and not letting this get out on their own platform, I think is indicative that they just want to bury this and get on. Yeah. And I wonder if like Kawhi Leonard goes to the crypto.com arena, if there's going to be a chant or if there's going to be any sort of way to keep that flame alive for the opposing teams. Like, do Lakers fans say aspiration when the Clippers take the floor?
I mean, only if they're good. That's the funny part about all this. The funny part and what I'm learning, I used to think that we'd be mad at you for cheating. If you cheat in sports, we're going to be mad. We're just going to be mad at you. But what I've discovered, our anger is proportionate with how much you succeeded via the cheating. And remember the Astros, they had their signals, they're banging on the trash cans, everything else. People were furious about that.
And
absolutely
why?
livid.
And why were they furious?
Because they won World Series.
Exactly.
Because they dominated. If they had gone out like the Clippers and been this expensive joke of a disappointment, been something more akin to what the Mets have been in certain seasons, then it would be a punchline, but you wouldn't have genuine just anger, that passion. I don't detect any of that passion. I see plenty of reason to go, oh my God, what the hell happened? How is Kawhi Leonard getting these checks from a defunct company? And how is the money getting funneled to that defunct company from the one minority shareholder in the Clippers who happens to be Steve Ballmer's college roommate? This looks pretty bad. This looks like cheating. Looks like, allegedly, whatever you want to throw at it. But I don't detect the anger in the fans. And as Amin has pointed out, it's because they failed, because they gave away the future MVP and champion in SGA in order to build this whole Kawhi empire. And so because of that, I don't know if they slip out the gate or they're not that great. I don't think there's going to be much anger. If they're dominating, people might get mad. That might happen. But this just feels like a scenario where there would be a lot more anger if they were better at the gambit.
Do you think there are Karl Malone stands out there?
In Utah and only Utah, I believe. But yeah, fair point.
I thought there's no such thing as like James Harden stands. Like I've never really met someone who's like goes nuts for James Harden, like goes crazy for James Harden. And I was thinking about this because the Kawhi scandal, it's almost reflective that people don't really care about James Harden, because the thing about the Joe Smith scandal, where David Stern punished them with 5 first-round picks, dropped the guillotine on the Minnesota Timberwolves. When I went back and started reading those columns from back in the day with Michael Wilbon and Mark Heisler and Jay Adonde, there was a story, a columnist peg to all of it. What will KG do? What will KG do? This young future MVP that everyone was like, if I'm KG, I'm asking out in a trade. Like they just lost 5 picks and Joe Smith, the guy who's supposed to be his running mate in the front court. KG's got nothing left. He's going to demand a trade. No. There is none of that with the Clippers. There is no young KG on this Clippers team that SportsCenter First Take can peg this story to make it interesting in those debate shows. So you mentioned the ingredient of, did they win a championship and vacate that championship and have that controversy front and center of the A block on First Take? 100%. I think the second thing that this story lacks is the co-star that would look at this situation and say, I'm jumping ship and I got to leave. No one really cares about the James Harden, Ivica Zubats, Bradley Beal Clippers supporting cast that would be threatened by this potential punishment, in the same way that KG, that was kind of the real reason why this story was so lit up in the NBA back in 2000, 2001, is because KG, everyone wanted to know how this was going to impact him. They don't have that dynamic in LA. They don't. And similar to how in the financial crisis, we learned that certain banks were too big to fail. I want to get this element up here. I want the new Clipper coaches shirts. I want them shown to the audience, and we can get that element up there, because I would argue the Clippers, too lame to fail. That's what Tom's talking about. Too lame to fail. Nobody cares enough about the transgression. These are the shirts that the coaches appear to be wearing. It's the acronym HECK. Every letter, I suppose, applies to some sort of basketball thing. I don't have good enough eyesight to see what. No, obviously. Wait. There's a heck now? Wait, I thought it was last year. Last year it was a fuck. We'll say that. Sorry if you've got kids in the car. Now it's heck. Now it's heck, Tom. They don't want to be bad boys anymore, these Clippers. They're under the microscope. It's heck. It's heck now. For the new season. This is AI. This can't. Is this real? Is this real? Look, one of their beat writers put it out there. I checked it out. I didn't do a tremendous amount of research, but Joey Lynn, LA Clippers beat writer for On SI, posted it. So I look, I'm going to believe it. I choose to believe it. I choose to believe heck starting with help your teammate by spacing appropriately. Is true. Is this the edited album? Like the explicit was the first one, and then the second round was the edited version? Like, did they get blowback because it was explicit?
Perhaps this is part of their atonement. This is what Steve
Adam
Ballmer,
Silver's
Adam
like, I
Silver.
wasn't going to give you guys penalize you 5 first-round draft picks, but now since you did the FUCK little
We'll
T-shirt,
change the
Jeff Van
shirt.
Gundy.
We'll change the shirt. This is what Steve Ballmer says in the back room. Of course, you could have a C in front of that H right there. Yeah, a little C in front of that right there. That would be a little bit more fitting right there. What would that acronym be? Creating investment opportunities could be that one for the CHECK. Yeah, the Clippers.
It annoys me, the whole phonetic K that isn't a K, it's actually an N sound. So know your role or whatever it is, like K, know your role. So my 6-year-old, I went to lunch, like today was like, daddy, go get lunch and bring it into school and have lunch with your daughter day, which is always fun. And I got her a Chick-fil-A like chicken nugget thing, and on it was like the Happy Meal was this cow named Daisy. And I was like, do you know what this reads? She's in kindergarten. She's like, no. And I was like, spell it out, sound it out. And she's like, DAISY. Is why. And I was like, yeah, so Daisy. And she's like, no, Daisy. And I was like, no, it's actually a Z sound. And she's like, but you said it was an S, so why is it a Z sound? And I'm like, yeah,
English
I
is
hate
weird.
the English language. It's so like, it doesn't make sense when I'm trying to explain English to her. And she's like, wait, so the S is actually a Z sound? And this comes up a lot where we're reading books and it's like A, B, C, D, and it goes through. And what always bothered me was like G for giraffe. G.
Oh yeah, yes. That GJ, that's like scary funhouse mirrors land. That's you just don't even want to be in that territory.
Yeah, why can't you just go with goat? Because then the kid's like, wait, isn't there already a letter that sounds like J? And I'm like, isn't it J? And I'm like, yeah, it is J. J and G have the same kind of sound. So it could be giraffe spelled with a J. But this book should have said goat. G for goat. But then the G sound, it's not like G is G. Like, you know what I'm saying? Does this make any sense?
This is like at first I start yelling at the kids and they complain. The Semitic languages, they don't even show you vowels. You know, you think you got it hard. It's worse. Well, that's very wholesome. What's not wholesome is this Anthony Mays new Clipper shirt acronym, FUCK, funnel unreported cash to Kawhi. There could be shirts. There could be many shirts.
Start them up. Let's start them up.
Start them up. We can brand them. Okay. So do you want to go with LaMelo Ball, Tom, or do you want to go with ESPN hilariously giving the game away on the ratings revolution?
Well, what I want to hear your LaMelo Ball 6-7 thing.
Okay.
You've been dealing with.
All right. Well, let's play that element. Let's play this element of LaMelo Ball explaining why his nickname is 6'7".
6'7".
6'7", exactly. And why this makes sense to your children. Your children understand this. You might not understand this, but your children do. Terrifying. Okay. We can play the clip of this earnest interviewer. She's asking him. Maybe we
just got to hit that right carrot there.
Honestly, we might be smarter for not playing the element. We might reserve more brain space. We might salvage more IQ points for not watching this. So I will explain it. He's being asked about it. He says people and kids, only kids, are yelling this to him on the street. It has become popular among the kids out there to just say 6'7". There was a song where it was said a lot. Then it was appended to many a LaMelo Ball highlight. But I think a lot of kids out there, it's just a phrase and you just don't get to the bottom of it. And you ask your child, you ask them when they say it, you shake them by the shoulders, not violently, folks, but maybe you just, gently take them by the shoulders and you go, what is this about? And they can't even tell you. They just say it. And Tom, I find that fascinating. I feel as though this is just part of the building of the world between kids and adults, where they need to make things that don't even have any sort of meaning, but the only meaning those things have, it's just that we don't know what the hell's going on. Or is there something else here? There you go.
Is it just cool because it's cool? Like we had stuff like that, didn't we? Like things that when we were
Thing.
growing up was cool that our parents are like, why is that cool? And you couldn't explain it.
Yeah. I mean, we might have. I'd have to really endeavor to find it. We had really stupid things like pointing at, hey, there's mustard on your shirt, and then flicking somebody's nose with your finger.
Oh, like doing the little if you hold a little like circle with your fingers
Yes.
below your waist and then someone looked
Yeah.
at it, you could hit him in the nuts or something.
That
Like
at least made some sort of sense, I would argue.
Why? Why
The
would that
circle
make
game made
sense?
sense. I will defend the circle game.
6-7.
6-7 doesn't make any kind of sense. It's just nonsense. It's just
6-7.
There you go. God damn it,
Maze. I hate you, Maze.
They just like saying it to say it. There's no real meaning behind it, and it's just a thing because it's a thing. And I feel as though many things are just things because they're things. And you feel you think you're gonna get to the bottom of this. You think as an old person you're gonna figure it out. And then when you get that kid in the interrogation room and you finally get the answer out of them, there's just nothing to it other than you're a dumb old person who just don't know it's a thing.
So there was this like TikTok video that I saw where there was an in and out where there's like 50 high school kids in an in and out going crazy because they're announcing the orders and he's counting up like at the pick up your order number 60 65 is ready, and they're like the whole crowd's like oh, and then like he comes back and he's like next order 66 oh, and the whole place is going nuts waiting for him to say the thing, and he goes 68 and they're like oh, and the whole crowd is going nuts, and I didn't know about the 6-7 thing. So what does your brain go to when they're ramping up to 68? I'm like, oh, they're doing a funny thing on 69 because when we were growing up, 69
you could not
was
have
funny.
predicted. You could not have predicted that.
And the guy goes, and the next order is 67, and the place went bonkers.
6-7. 6-7. 6-7.
Bananas. It was like crazy. And I'm sitting here being like,
This is a preview of how confusing the world is for old people. And I would say needlessly. It's not that, like when I was a kid, I was part of some program trying to get little academic points of teaching older people how to use the internet. It's not like that. It's not like I don't have a skill that's become a skill that's an essential skill for the new future. It's just people are going to be yelling nonsense gibberish, and you won't have any inkling as to why it's happening. Poor Tom. Poor Tom just going, I don't know what's happening. Why is
I thought I
everything-
stepped into like a time warp where I actually was like trying to think, like, is 69 something that I only dreamed up in my head as something that we as kids laughed at? Or even as adults?
No, we had the Budweiser, we had that. That's what we had. That was wholesome and wonderful, whatever that was.
Why is that funny? Because he's got a funny voice when he says it.
Yeah, he's saying what's up in a different kind of way, and that's different. And so there you go. But yes.
LaMelo Ball is really interesting. Like here in Charlotte, he hit like the Hornets are in a tough spot because the younger generation loves this guy. But he hasn't led to wins.
He is nonsense. That's what's interesting. He is nonsense, and the kids love him. He connects to the kids. They don't care about what the scoreboard says. He's just this thing that exists in their world, and even has this nickname, and he's got this connection. It's a very strange cultural issue, Tom. The NBA wants so badly to connect to these kids. The guy who does it best is a guy who doesn't win basketball games. He's kind of a weird, idiosyncratic basketball genius, though, and he does things nobody else does out there, but he doesn't seem to really care too much. And I don't know if you can build the next generation of fandom on the basis of something like that.
Yeah. I mean, is that an old thing? Is that a boomer thing? That
we had Jason Williams. We had Jason Williams with his little elbow passes and all that. when I was a little kid. That was a thing. But there's a little bit of that. But this is kind of different. This guy lives in the meme world. He lives in the meme space. He's like in some sort of Minecrafter world that's off our map. And we just see that Charlotte's terrible year after year. Well, this guy is popular. And popular in this way too, where I think my son was describing that a basketball player said it. He didn't know LaMelo is involved in this, but he knows at some level. It's just very, very strange, terrifying. This world we're entering into is. Aaron Reyes might have some thoughts on it. He is looking quite happy. He's wearing a Dodger shirt. Can you imagine, Tom, winning that way and acting proud of it the next day that you won, not with some heroic blast from a Kirk Gibson, but from a guy just forgetting what to do with a baseball on a shirt.
You got to play it all the way through. That's just it, right? It's fundamental.
I'm not denying you won fair and square. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying.
I mean, no. It's like when people talk about the Tony Romo dropping the snap, they don't talk about, well, what did the Cowboys do in the whole fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Right. How many other failures they had, right?
So at the Red Sox fan, Aaron, where Bill Buckner, that was game 6. There's a whole game 7 after that.
That's right. And
actually, I was gonna have this element for later, but I've brought it to the fore, and we're keeping Aaron on. Can we show the element of just some Phillies fans live streaming reacting to this? Because I like it. I don't even want to relive the poor pitcher with his head hanging and the Dodgers running past him. I just want to watch the Phillies fans reacting to it, because that's part of our new media world. Can we play that? We get that going.
Got it, back to the back. Go one, go. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my God. Oh my God. Go to first. That is how you lose. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's easily that's the least fun I've ever had watching sports.
Okay, we can talk about that, but let's talk about your whatever you came here to talk about.
No, I mean, so look, I think we're in this really interesting era in fandom across sports where the leagues and the media that you guys are part of have to, in some ways, sort of reconstruct the connection that you have with the fan base. And at the same time, it's almost like software. At the same time, you can't break the existing connection you have to the day-to-day, the people paying the bills fans. So you have to sort of juice the culture at an appropriate level, right? Because, dads and moms want to be cool-ish to a point. But then if you saturate it, it's like, look, there's a reason, even you guys at this point at 40 will walk out of a room if you hear like a bunch of 14-year-olds talking some gibberish that's supposed to be representation of the evolution of Anglo-Saxon English and whatever the hell this is now, right? And so,
don't do it,
there we go. I knew
6-7 exactly. And by the way, so here's the truth about the 6-7. So I'm actually a fan of Skilla, the DJ. Which
can we clip this for YouTube? It needs to have big capital letters. The truth about 6-7. That's a perfect
truth about 6-7. So, and which my two daughters who are 30 and 27 hate the fact that I like Skilla going back to when they were really young, because that just it's like too discombobulating for them. But so the history of this is that it's 67th Street in Chicago. So the 6-7 references that street. And so that was a murder street, as they used to say in Chicago. So that represents some, Chicago-ness, some street cred. Yeah. So that's the history. Now that tends to not matter, obviously, when something goes, postmodern.
Right. Like what was on fleek? On fleek, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I have no
idea. The etymology of it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So,
well, I was just talking about this with a friend of, I don't know how things used to become uncool back in the day. Now it's instant. You're told like this is not a thing anymore, and you feel it. The first thing that felt like that, first one that I can remember, I knew at a certain point that saying I'm Rick James, bitch, that was uncool. That was what a lame person does. But for a few weeks, it was cool. And I don't know how we arrived at that without social media. I don't know.
So
But we did.
I would argue there's a duality in Rick James, bitch, which is, and you could write a dissertation on this. So in a public setting, that's totally true. Inside your cohort, so I got a couple friends of mine, one of my good friends from the army, and then a friend when I worked at the time. Yeah, actually, yeah, I was working at Cognus. I worked at a big IT company for about 18 years. Who was cool. And we just randomly started using it every time we go into a lame meeting or whatever. And we just turned it into like, we would hide it. Like we'd put like RJB into the slide on the side at like 8 font. And we just look at it, like we just started pounding it into each other. And to this day, if one of us is just randomly saying something, we'll just be like, Rick James, bitch. And then and like if you met them,
So you're saying
you could say this to them.
It should have never stopped being cool,
Yeah.
is the argument you're making.
Yeah,
Anthony May's
yeah.
post, "On Fleek" was coined in mere seconds by a Chicago teenager, Kayla Newman. In June 2014, she, under the username Peaches Monroe E, posted a super short Vine video where she describes her eyebrows on fleek before going out to a party. Just the way things can turn into things, folks. How a street in Chicago can have a lot of murders, and that can turn into a nickname that has nothing to do with that for
6'7"
the star of the Charlotte Hornets.
But by the way, this is a history that's very unique in American English, because I have English friends and I always tell them I speak American.
Yep.
You guys speak English. And it's not like a joke. Like they learn the King's English, like, regular primary school kids will by 11th year have a greater command of the English language than English majors in college here. I mean, just because of what they have to read. And I mean, it's uniquely different. We speak American, which is this globally exported language that's being reconstructed all around us in every region, and probably 50 subdialects at this point, or 100 of them. And this goes back, you go look at, Gangs of New York, right? Like go look at that era. We've always had these dialects because of how much immigration we have, and that you need this starter kit of a few thousand words as a American to just get through daily life. And that's it. Once you get those few thousand words, we all, we
You're
all
making a profound point.
You're
making a profound point. I'm interrupting you to say that I found the accents in Gangs in New York, specifically Daniel Day-Lewis, to be implausible. Just, you really think back then they were sounding like, hey, it's Gangs in New York over here. It's the Civil War. Yeah. I don't know if they were talking that back then.
So I'm a DDL determinist. He's a sub Jesus to me. So anything he does is just top of the food chain. How dare you? So I will fight to the death for
he's
Danny
gonna drink your
Day-Lewis.
milkshake if you keep going with that.
100%.
You're a boy, Ethan, a boy.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a straw that reaches across the room. Yes. Okay. Eventually, we should get back to the show, I suppose. Maybe. You're right.
So, a quick question, actually, on the earlier Clippers and Laker dynamic, because we're talking about the LA-ness of this. And I'm an all-time Laker fan, but I had to, just like when the Dodgers were owned by Fox and the O'Malley sold, and then a horrific human being that owns Olympique Marseille that we just refused to say his name, and they got divorced, and got the team to Guggenheim finally, and we could actually be a team. The Lakers had the same thing after Jerry Buss and his daughter and the train wreck of the family. Yeah. And so I'm stuck in this sort of LA still sucks, but they're sort of my team getting rebuilt. I've always found the Clipper dynamic, especially if you're from Southern California or know about it, to always being weird, because there were the San Diego Clippers when I grew up. They were like a real team. Then they kind of just putted their way up the coast into Orange County and into the old sports arena.
They did the Chargers move of,
I'm
going to go to the glitz and the glam. And actually it's, you're actually nothing now. Now you're nothing. Now you mean nothing to anybody. Congratulations. Well done.
Yeah, I have a good friend in Orange County who I had a idea with a long time ago. I said they should have moved to Irvine and done the whole, Angels, like they'd be the center because there's nothing down there. It's a 5 million person county, almost 4.5 million person county. All you have is the Ducks and the Angels, and the Clippers could be, star power down there, relatively speaking.
Wait,
And
Aaron, you're saying they could be the Anaheim Angels of the NBA? Where do I sign up?
well, versus being, God, let me think of this. The Jacksonville Jaguars, not this season, but Jacksonville Jaguars of the NBA. I mean, that's your choice. At least they'd have a captive audience down there. They're not competing because in LA, only Johnny come latelys or fan followers are gonna, if the Clippers are winning, are gonna support the Clippers over the Lakers.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is.
And they're just barely. Okay. So it's an interesting thing how hard it is to build fandom. This relates to the technology conversation. You can't do it. You feel like you can, but it's almost like you missed the boat if it didn't happen in a certain era. You think you can go, oh, we're Brooklyn. We're the Brooklyn Nets. So we've created our own thing within New York, and the citizens of New York City go, we don't care. We don't care.
So I live in Northern Jersey. I'm from LA, and the Nets used to live here. I used to take my kids there to, local schools. I would always have their, $12 tickets or whatever. And I'd take them always down to the, to Continental Arena, and then eventually the, whatever Prue Center where they played. And there was a legitimate New Jersey fan base that the Nets had. And it was real. Like, I mean, it was like an Orange County. It was bigger than that, but 2X Orange County. It was a thing. And in Brooklyn, which I love Barclays. I mean, I've gone there for fights. I've gone there for other stuff. It's a great amazing venue. But the energy there is just absolutely flat.
Yeah.
Like like the Nets energy is just, it's like,
because nobody was walking around in these places. Yeah. Nobody in Los Angeles in the 1980s was going, you know what?
We're missing something.
Lakers thing is great.
Yeah.
But I'd really like another professional basketball team to root for.
Can we just say it? Steve Ballmer should have changed the name as soon as he bought the team.
100%.
Just changed everything. Yeah. Total identification change. Yeah. And if we want to talk about like Steve Ballmer as an owner and what he's done for the, the NBA and building into a dome and recreating the mascot and the dome and like all that, I'm like, if he had just gone to a total rebrand, I feel like Steve Ballmer's his Q rating among owners and among the NBA to be so much different. I also have the same take about LeBron. If he was just 6 rather than 23, he would be much more well-liked in the NBA in his career if he didn't try to
draft off
copy
of
LeBron.
I think there's something to that. Lakers fans hate the Clippers. That's what's interesting.
We hate the Clippers, and to be blunt, the LeBron thing has been a weird thing because it's been fused with the horrific Jenny Buss management era, and it feels not like a grift. I mean, that's not fair, but it feels like filler. It's a filler. Yeah. But remember, the Lakers are like the Yankees. It's not quite that extreme, but it's close. Like the Celtics, and the Celtics and the Lakers are combined are like the Yankees or Real Madrid in basketball, like those two clubs, teams. And so we don't tolerate 10, 15-year rebuildings. I mean, like you look at the data from the 60s till, the end of the Kobe era or the pre-end of the Kobe era until he got hurt, last a year or two. I mean, and then you look at since then till now and how many times we've not made the playoffs. We've literally not made the playoffs in the last 12, 14 years as much almost as that prior 45-year period. I mean, it's just like a history. It'd be like the Yankees being, consistently 80 and 82 for like a decade, right? That's just not tolerated in the culture. And I think the problem is LeBron's associated with that.
I still don't think they'd fire the GM and the manager, given the way they're running things over there in New York City. But
what I mean is that LeBron is associated with this below average, and I think that's the honest answer. If the Lakers were not even called the Lakers, pretend they're the New Orleans Pelicans and they had this record, you just call them below average the last 12, 14 years. And for LeBron to be there for now, 7 years and just
6'7".
filing. Yeah, 6'7". That was pretty good, actually. That was good. I
That
didn't
was
even
so
I didn't even
fast,
tease
Anthony.
that one up. That works. That works.
The
But to
fastest
be there
gunslinger in the
for
West.
to be there for so long in this era and just tolerate the whatever. And I don't count the preseason world championship in 2020 where everyone's shot 3-point in the playoffs like 56% because they were doing shoot arounds. I mean, that just doesn't
Finally,
count.
an honest Laker fan.
Oh,
It's
I've been
it's
honest
so-
about that. I've been honest about that title. Like we were Zoom watching it with my friends, and we were like, "This is like no." Like we stopped watching. Okay, oh, we need a 6-week break so everyone gets to heal.
6'7".
Yeah.
6'7". So this shit works.
Okay.
Oh my god,
Aaron, Tom and I got to talk
Yes.
about a topic.
Yeah,
about
sorry.
Get Aaron and his Laker belly aching out of here. Smart stuff as always, but we can only tolerate so much of it. Get Aaron out of here. Thanks, Aaron. Oh my God, Maze, you're so good at that. Okay, this topic, ratings, something very interesting. This is a topic that is covered on this show, not many other places. The great ratings juicefication, Nielsen opening up this avenue for everybody to say they've gotten more popular. What Tom and I found interesting about this was ESPN releasing some ratings, facts, and figures and telling us how the secret sauce gets made. That's what was interesting. Can we get that image? Can we get that visual of ESPN daytime studio shows? Their surge in September. You see the gaudy numbers. You see that Get Up is up 24%. First Take, 23%. Pat McAfee, 29%. Sports Center, 39%. And you might not be able to see it, folks, but there's a little terms and conditions apply. It's above the red with the nice kind of, well, okay. It's not above the red. It's actually in the red. This year's compelling fall sports season, combined with Nielsen's big data plus panel methodology, has further amplified our studio show viewership. That right there.
What?
They're talking about a new methodology and presenting that as growth, Tom. I find that interesting. And I feel as though nobody outside of a very few people, you, me, Glass-Steagall, some other people in the sports media space, everybody else just wants to accept. They want to accept that it's almost like when in the NBA, perhaps back in the day, they measured everybody's height with socks, but then they added shoes and everybody gets 2 inches and nobody
6'7".
I was trying to set you up for it. But yes, Tom, you were quite amused by that. What do we do with this whole thing of, do we know if anything's getting more popular? That's the thing that bothers me. I just like to know if things are getting more popular, if we just change the definitions.
I mean, it's just odd to me that the quote would include the juiced explanation. It says our compelling content, and also these numbers are juiced because of this new methodology. Just shows that we're doing a great job. Why include, like, does Nielsen, part of the deal is that, like, we'll give you these numbers if you give us a shout out?
I wonder if it's that or if it's something brokered with the advertisers, because I think the advertisers, from what I heard when this all got started, and I haven't been as on this since it happened, but when this was being negotiated, I would talk to people who were in that space of selling ads and negotiating the ad market. And in theory, everybody knows what the real ratings are behind the scenes, so it shouldn't matter. And yet there's this PR element that they do care about. And for the side of broadcasters want the rating super high so they can sell the ads for the people who are doing the ads and everything else. But the people on the other side of that, there was this feeling of, look, we still don't want it like this. We want ratings to look lower than they are, because then we get cheaper rates. Even if we all theoretically know the real story here, it somehow just influences things when the big number has the sticker shock. So I wonder if this was negotiated out and the advertiser side said to Nielsen, look, okay, fine, you can do this. But when people brag about it, they have to add this little element that only Tom Haberstroh and Ethan Strauss are going to care about. Yeah. That's my theory.
God, we're such nerds that
Yeah.
we actually read that fine print and then noticed there was a little disclaimer in there to like admit that these numbers are juiced on
Yeah.
purpose. And I mean, it's like a track team that's bragging about winning gold and thanking the Nike Superfly shoes for letting
Mm.
them win.
A little bit. A little bit. It's like a special teams coach after they made that shift where the ball on touchbacks goes to the 35, bragging about our new field position is better than ever. We have way better field position for our special teams now. And then in the little fine print, thanking the NFL for the rule change that accomplished this. It is that, but nobody cares. We're the only nerds who care. I care. I care, folks, because I actually want to know what's popular. I want to know what's growing. I want to know what people are getting more interested in. I don't want to find out about the popularity of things solely through my son telling me about a nonsense meme out there. Maze, hit it.
6-7.
There we go. I don't want just
We're
that.
now calling out Mace. We're just like,
I'm requesting.
hey, can you please hit it now? Put him
6-7.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm requesting it. Yeah, I want to know what's real. And the crazy thing about this to me, Tom, is this. It's weird to me that as so many things have improved, this has gotten worse. As so many things have improved, simply knowing how popular things are, how popular televised entertainment is, that has been made, I don't want to say impossible, but you used to know. In the 90s and the early 2000s, they had the Nielsen box, and it would tell you, oh man, ER is really popular. Well, how popular is ER? It's like 30 million people watched it. And you would trust that and you would understand that. Now, everybody is just rushing to the trade publications saying, well, actually, despite what Nielsen says, we had all these streams. And then Nielsen says, well, actually, we're juicing the numbers because that's what the broadcasters wanted from us. We're in a zone where only by word of mouth can we perhaps understand how much people are into things. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Remember like the whole Facebook Live thing that the numbers reduced? And I remember being at ESPN or somewhere and all our bosses were trying to get us on Facebook Live because we got a lot more audience, a lot larger audiences there. And then the scandal broke out that they were juicing the numbers and no one was on Facebook Live anymore because they realized it was fake.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not quite like that with these numbers in TV. A lot of people do watch these shows. I don't know. Are we ever going to get back to a place where we know the numbers and trust the numbers? I trust the YouTube viewership counter. Maybe I shouldn't. Who knows what goes on behind the scenes?
Would you think that like comments are more indicative or thumbs up are more indicative of popularity?
Perhaps. I'm not sure. I miss the thumbs up and thumbs down that YouTube used to have.
Yeah, because the Nike story, you had a lot of that was like your metric, right?
I killed it. Ladies and gentlemen. They took it away right after it. I don't know if it was me in a little Substack post. It probably wasn't. But deep down, I suspect that I played a role by just saying, hey, look, these Nike ads are so unpopular. And you can tell from the thumbs down. I just wonder if somebody out there, somebody at Google went, yeah, we got it. This is not good, folks.
Well, it reminds me of the NBA and the scoring, like juicing the scoring stats in the NBA, where we covered this at length. Is like the referees were calling more fouls and guys were getting to the free throw line more, and the game was being slowed down, and there was 60-point games from Luka and Damian Lillard and Joel Embiid in like a week. And people were like, what is going on? And I remember the other day just seeing this stat and was like blown away by it that Joel Embiid 2 years ago averaged 34.7 points per game.
6-7.
Kind of
33 points lower than that. But the point is like, I was like, whoa, Joel Embiid averaged 34.7 points per game.
6-7.
God damn it.
I was blown away by that, and I just remembered being like, oh yeah, because of the everything was juiced a couple years ago with a lot of the stats there, and it doesn't mean the same thing when Joel Embiid is averaging close to 35 points a game. I wanted to just switch gears real quick and just say shout out to Hoop Speak Live and what we're doing
Oh,
here, we
yeah.
kind of did like 15 years ago, because Derek Thompson just did this story for his Substack about how everything is television now. And it
Yeah.
reminded me that, Ethan, we were kind of pioneers in this space on Hoop Speak Live, the show that you did, Zach Harper, Beckley, where we would just have a live podcast on video. And that didn't seem so kind of innovative at the time, but now every show now is a podcast on video, including this one here.
We should have stuck with it. If only we'd known. If only we'd known that this would be the thing, we would have stuck with it. And
Do you have the origin story of Hoop Speak Live?
I have no memory of how I started to do that. I think it was Beckley. He was more business minded, and I was just a content guy, and I would draft off some of his ideas. By the way, in private, ladies and gentlemen, Beckley did reach out, Beckley Mason, who you might know or not know about, and credited Tom for popularizing the NBA term gravity, for making that a cultural meme and getting that out there. So just, free associated.
I
with the name
invented
Beckley
gravity,
Mason.
is what you're saying.
You invented gravity.
Oh,
Did you
God.
invent gravity? Are you Isaac Newton? Is that you?
Do you I only came up with that because Dwayne Wade had such gravity at the 3-point line, where defenders were always so close to him when he was off the ball. And I was blown away by that, because in the data from Second Spectrum, these 3D cameras that were tracking every player's movement on the floor like 60 times a second, 67 times a second.
Oh my God.
He
Maze,
was
you
asleep at the
6'7".
wheel. Yeah. Klay Thompson had the most gravity off the ball. Then it was Kyle Korver off the ball, had the most gravity. Stephen Curry.
6'7".
And then it was like 10 other amazing shooters, because they're great shooters. You don't want to leave them on the off the ball. And then
The
it was
ghost
Dwayne
guy.
Wade. And I
Yeah.
was like, Dwayne Wade has this weird gravity to him that when he's off the ball at the 3-point line, he's a terrible 3-point shooter, and yet he's guarded like he's Reggie Miller. And that was this amazing little, like, that's a mystery. And I wrote about it. And Dwayne Wade, I walked up to him at practice, at Heat practice. I was like, hey man, I just looked at some analytics about your 3-point shooting, and no, it was, and I stumbled because I said the A word.
Yeah.
You can't say analytics in front of an NBA player,
yeah.
and they'll just hate you. They'll be like, the brain just shuts down. They're like,
Yeah.
that's my enemy. I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, I got to switch up. So I go, Dwayne, do you think when you're on the 3-point line and you don't have it, you don't have the ball, and they're guarding you like you're Reggie Miller, like Ray Allen, and he lights up, and he's like, yes, Tom, you figured. I've been feeling this for the last 10 years of my life, and no one's been able to explain it to me. What is going on there? And I went through the numbers, and he lit up, but only because I didn't say numbers or analytics or anything. And then they were locked in. Players are afraid of the analytics word, and like gravity is a little bit scary.
But wait, when did you come up with gravity? When did you
It
discover
was for that
gravity?
story. It was
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that story, was looking at this respect rating from Second Spectrum. They were like, here are the guys who are most respected in the NBA when they don't have the ball. And I was like, it's like a gravitational pull where, like, the defense, Kyle Korver has a lot of gravity to him. Like, it's
6'7".
okay.
That wasn't even
That-
make
Corver
sense.
6'7".
Okay, Maze.
Reggie
We'll
Miller
allow it.
6'7".
6'7".
We'll allow it.
Okay. So that was the origin story of like when gravity became a thing. And then I remember Kevin Pelton and I were writing about, which players had the most gravity. And that's kind of, I think about you a lot with Steph Curry, the way you described it as like he's Shaq, but 30 feet away. Like he has I don't know if you remember coining this or describing it in this
I
way.
said
It's like,
something like that, where he stretched defenses till they snapped and Shaq bashed defenses till they broke. Something like that.
oh, so you're not
Ugh.
taking ownership of that? It wasn't you.
Uh,
Well, it's like he's guarded like he's Shaq, but like 30 feet away. Was like this guy who would just tilt the defense like crazy 30 feet away, and that was gravity.
Well, it's just, again, maybe memes are part of this episode today, because some of you might not know, but gravity is now talked about everywhere, all over sports. And that was just inserted into the lexicon. And it's got that Sapir-Whorf hypothesis aspect where when you name something, you can recognize it better. When you give a concept a name, you can see it, you can conceptualize it. And Tom has given us that. And how much money have you made off gravity, Tom? How
0.
much? This thing that's everywhere.
I am very insecure of the fact that I haven't written a book yet. So maybe I should just write Gravity Ball or something like that.
Just the inventor of I don't know if did Isaac Newton make a lot of money off his invention of the actual gravity. I don't think he did. This might be something that you have in common with him, perhaps. I'm not sure. I do think it's funny if you self-promote yourself as the guy who invented the concept of gravity, because it is true. But people are going to go, wait a second.
Man, that's yeah. I guess I gotta. What would I do? Put in my like YouTube profile or my Twitter profile? Like, what would I
I think it's a
put in my
funny,
business card, my fake business card?
it's a little tongue in cheek. And if you write a book, you're going to have an apple flying through a hoop right there. This is what this show has become. We should be ending the show right now. I apologize for not talking about Mark Sanchez. I didn't know what to say about that. But it's ending on us trying to figure out Tom's next move for his self-promotion. Not that he needs it, because he is so generative. His ideas so good. Tom, as we wrap this, what do you want to promote as we head into the NBA season? And you hit a
I just
plant?
hit my fake tree as I was like just
Yeah.
adjusting here. TomTheFinder.com, my Substack, Yahoo Sports, The Big Number. Also on the Blazers broadcast, we do a lot of gravity talk on the Blazers broadcast. So season's coming up here, and yeah, I'm very excited about the Yang Hansen era, the
Ooh.
Chinese 7'2" guy who plays like Jokic, and I am like legit excited to watch him play basketball this season. We got the first game against the Warriors on Wednesday. And he was he looked like it was his first NBA action. He had 4 points, 4 fouls, and I liken him to like Alperen Şengün, like 2 years away from Alpe's rookie year. He's really fun to watch. He's got great footwork, 7'2", but can pass. Great Jokic ball skills. But I'm really kind of messed up by whether his name is Yang Hansen or Hansen Yang because of the whole Yao Ming, like Chinese name, first name, last name thing. And my whole insecurity is that I'm going to do it on air and just totally mess it up. So have you had that ever where you have a bug in your head about something on air and you just, you can't get over
for
it?
racial slurs, and then it happens, and then it's fine. It's fine, Tom. Don't worry about it. No, I saw some people getting mad at Simmons for talking about it, and it's just everybody relax. It's not easy for us Americans to say everything. It's okay. It's not insensitivity. We're just figuring it out in good faith.
Like giraffe. You know?
It's not easy. It's okay. Tom, great stuff. Apologies to Philadelphia sports fans. Rough time. Wish you the best. Wish everybody the best. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. See ya.
6-7.